Oh, didn't see you there. This is Neature. We'll be talking about math in nature. This is all math. There are patterns and equations all around me. Let's hop right in. One example of math in nature is growth. Growth happens everywhere. It happens on this tree. It happens on the ground. It happens in you and in me. Over here, up, a little bit down. Hey guys, I said that growth happens in nature, but I realized I didn't go into that much. Exponential and logarithmic curves are two different examples of how things grow in nature. Exponential goes on forever. Logarithmic is much more logical and stops at a certain point thanks to the carrying capacity. Man, isn't that neat? Let's look at some of those good examples of exponential and logarithmic growth in nature. For our first example, let's talk about the red-tailed hawk. Come on, bud. He's not responding right now. Oh well, we'll see if he's back next time. See, the red-tailed hawk grows at a logarithmic curve, which means that he has a carrying capacity. That means he goes up and then cuts off right about there. That's all natural. Isn't that neat? Bacteria is another good example of growth. That happens exponentially though, but only in a lab. You see, bacteria can grow in a lab at an exponential rate because there's nothing to limit its capacity. You see, in nature, a carrying capacity is made by certain limiting factors. For the hawk, it might be the amount of food that's available, and for the bacteria, it might be how much it can fit on a certain surface area.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
These trees, they also follow that same rule. See, in nature, you always have a certain surface area of the ground. But the trees can't take up all of that, or else there wouldn't be any ground left. They have to share the space. That's why this one doesn't have one growing right next to it. But there's one behind you, and one over there. See, nature's amazing, and this is one of the reasons why. Let's talk a little more about exponential and logarithmic growth. Both of them happened in the 17th century, but logarithmic came first, and that dates back all the way to 1618. It was discovered by John Napier. It was not the same type of logarithmic growth that you would think of today. It was a very useful tool for people in that time. Isn't that neat? They used it for all sorts of things, but mainly just the simple operations, such as multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. It was definitely not what we would expect it to be. Later on, the natural log was used for calculations, but was never actually called the natural log. It was just referred to as ln. They also never put together that e was a part of that, or that log could be used to relate bases to their exponent, as it is today. Later on in the 17th century, e was used to solve for compounding interest. That's a financial term, but it's still applicable in nature, because compounding interest is when you take the amount that you already have and you add more to it through an exponent. Much like when you have a set group of people or a set group of organisms, there's more that are added on. The reason that this is not a very accurate representation of population growth, however, is because there's no carrying capacity. You see, with an exponential growth, it just goes up and keeps going up forever and ever. However, with a population growth that is logarithmic, it comes up and then reaches a point where the environment cannot sustain that amount of organisms and slowly starts to cut off at what is called the carrying capacity. Although we know a lot about when E was discovered, it's still unknown how it was discovered and by who. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. See you next time. This has been Neature Walk, Math Edition.